Let us not forget everything that happens is by the will of Allah. It's time to unite and stand, and we will be the best amongst men. It's not time to be extreme or do you think about, but to stand together as one. To Sunnah followers streaming every day, various platforms. Trust me, you'll find a way. Sunnah followers. Another Sunnah Followers exclusive, Not One of Us, written by Sheikh Muhammad S. Adli, broken down and brought to you by host lailanasheeba. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, right here on Sunnah Followers.
Wassalam ala wa rasulullah. Welcome to our Hadith class for tonight. And alhamdulillah, we are studying the Hadiths from the book entitled Not of Us. Not of Us by Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Adli. And the Hadiths in this book are not saying that you're a kafir or you're not a Muslim. Instead, these are different hadiths that Sheikh Muhammad Saeed Adli put together, in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized that indulging in this behavior or in this type of action is so gross and so bad that you're not like him. You know, it's so opposite of what he represented. It's so opposite of what he represents. So don't do it. So in other words, these are just bad actions to engage in. And let's take a look at the hadith for tonight. And I told you guys, we spoke about how it's page 30 today of the book. For the people on Zoom, I'm going to share you all with the Instagram so you can see. Okay, and then for everyone else, let me get the hadith up here for everyone to take a look-see. There it is. And this is the book too. For those of you who have not yet purchased the book, you want to get a copy of it. You want to go to adlionline.com and purchase this book. It's less than $10. And that's a picture of the book there at the top. Not One of Us. And let's take a look at the hadith that's up for tonight's discussion. This hadith has to do with leadership. Leadership, and one of the things that mankind craves is to be superior. You know, this is part of the human soul. The human soul is attracted to what's bad for it. The human soul is attracted to what's dirty. And one of the things that the human soul craves is superiority. It wants to feel and wants to believe that it is superior or better than others. So leadership, a lot of us crave it. A lot of us want it, but few of us are qualified for it. Let's see what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to say about it. And this hadith is narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. As you guys can see, many of the hadiths were narrated by him. Abu Huraira narrated the most, of course, And then Aisha narrated a lot, and also Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, one of the signs of the last hour will be that there will be rulers amongst you who will be surrounded by low-life people. And these low-life people will lie and oppress others. So if you come upon them and you believe their lies and you help them in their oppression, then you are not of me and I am not of you. And if you don't come upon them and don't believe their lies and don't help them in their oppression of others, then you are of me and I am of you. What time was the prophet speaking about? He was talking about today. Because again, tonight's hadith and yesterday's hadith that we went over, that was narrated by Fatima, the daughter of El-Khattab, Umar's sister. You know, what happened was the companions had asked the prophet, will there be times in which we Muslims will prevail? Because again, no one struggled more than they were. No one was tested more, not even the people of Gaza were tested more than they were tested. So the people asked the prophet, will there ever come a time where we will be okay and we will prevail? And the prophet had told them, yes, but it's going to come with consequences. He said the consequences is that the people living during those times will not be strong in their faith like you, my companions, are. They will have deviated away from my teachings. They will have deviated away from your lifestyle. And they will have replaced the laws of Allah with laws and rules of their own. And then he went on to speak more about how those people will be. And this is what he was saying. They'll have a lot of rulers amongst them. But the rulers will be unjust. They'll go around hurting people, lying to people, abusing the people. And they'll have a following of a bunch of ignorant, low-life people. You know, and if you happen to be living during that time and believe what they say and help them to oppress others, you're not of me, because this is not what I came with. And so many of us living today, we help these leaders. How do we help leaders? By posting up on social media the things they say that's not true, for example. That's why I tell you all, be careful of what you share to social media. Be careful of hadiths and verses of the Quran that are taken out of proportion, the verses of the Quran and hadiths that are distorted. Because when you pass that stuff on and post it on, you're lying on Allah, lying on the prophet, and this is corruption. You're lying and oppressing others. You're making the religion hard, and Islam is easy. You're telling women that they can't be beautiful, they can't wear colors, they have to cover their face and their hands, when none of this is true. Nowhere did Allah say any of that. So again, this is oppression. You know, and you're helping them in that by believing the lies that people say and passing it on to others. And when you do that, you're not of the prophet, and he is not of you. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. We find these brothers and sisters who call themselves amongst the saved set. They call themselves Salafi in name. They are the ones that do this. They do a lot of this. You know, distorting the religion, making it harder than it is, you know, twisting the rules and laws, you know, to suit themselves. And they have a large following of people who continue with that oppression. And because of it, we have a high apostasy rate amongst women in Islam. Well, a lot of women apostate thinking Islam is oppressive, thinking Islam is nothing but polygamy and sex and making babies and being abused by men. And none of this is correct. So these are the signs that the prophet warned us of. And we're living in these days. These are the days of the Ruwaybida, the low-life Ruwaybida, who have a lot to say about this deen, but they don't even know what the pillars of faith are. They don't even know what the pillars of the prayer are. So this is a hadith that we need to ponder, because we learn so much from it. Number one, we learned that Muslims should take precautions in staying away from all forms of oppression and people who do this. Be careful who you seek your knowledge of Islam from. Be careful what you choose to post up on social media. Also, we learned that a Muslim should make sure to be in a profession that doesn't harm or oppress others too. You don't want to be in a leadership position or a job in which you are working with leaders who are oppressive. Government work, where you're working with the president as a presidential aide or something like that. Be careful of that. And also, Muslims shouldn't lie. Lying is a horrific sin. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no one is perfect. All believers make mistakes, but there's one thing that a believer never does is lie. The believer may steal, commit other sins. He may backbite. She may backbite, but they won't slander, because slander is lying. They're honest in their business dealings. They're honest in their actions. Lying is something that the believer is not capable of. So we should be careful as to not deliberately, intentionally lie. And also, we should keep good company. This is something that we cannot reinforce enough of. Be careful who you choose to be your close friends. Choose your friends wisely. And again, we should strive to be like the Prophet Muhammad. You will never be a believer until you love him more than you do even yourself. So we should try to emulate his manners, his behavior, so as to not be unlike him. So this is a great hadith that we all need to ponder the meaning of, and we all should implement it, try our best to implement this hadith into our daily lives. Be careful to not go around hurting people. Be careful to not make this religion harder than what it already is by telling people that things are haram that are not. Remember, the lawful and the unlawful have been clearly defined to us. If something is haram, I would give you the clear verse. If it's haram for me to drink coffee, there'd have to be a clear verse that says you cannot drink coffee. It cannot be a sentence that says birds flew up in the air, they fell down with mocha on them, and that means we can't drink coffee. Allah doesn't speak that way. The lawful and unlawful are clear. If it's haram, it will be a clear verse saying it's haram. If there's no verse saying it's haram, then don't you say it's haram. That means it's lawful. Okay, so we have to be very careful, to not take part, in corruption. All right, so on that note, I'm going to stop right